Hey there YouTube, JCM45 here, bringing you yet another action figure review. And real quick, before we get into this, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to all of our viewers and subscribers out there. We're hitting almost 100 subscribers, and I know that's not a lot to some people, but to me that's just kind of a big deal. And very grateful and very happy that you guys are watching and subscribing and enjoying this content. So thank you to all of you guys. And I hope you guys keep watching and keep enjoying, so thanks again. So, to get into it now, we're going to be taking a look at the Bandai Tamashii Nations S.H. Figuarts Toei Spider-Man, or Supaidaman. And this is Spider-Man as he appeared in the 1978 Toei-created Spider-Man live-action Japanese television series. So, this should be really fun to look at, so let's take a look. First, we're obviously going to look at the packaging, and as you can see, it's your pretty standard Tamashii Nations S.H. Figuarts box. In the upper left-hand corner, you've got the Tamashii Nations or Toei holographic sticker there, so this is not a bootleg, this is real. You get the Marvel logo here in the upper right-hand corner. You've got a nice promotional shot of Supaidaman. You've got a window for the figure itself, as well as Spider-Man and some Japanese text, which I can only assume says Spider-Man. And then you've got the Bandai logo, the Tamashii Nations logo, and all the warnings and whatnot. Flip it over to the side, you've got some promotional shots here of Supaidaman swinging along on a web there. That's pretty cool. Or climbing on a web. And then on the back here, you have some more promotional shots of the figure in various poses, as well as some shots of its accessories. You got the barcode and some Japanese warnings and whatnot that I can't read. Flip it over to the side, you get more promotional shots here. Very nice. Flip it to the top, Spider-Man S.H. Figuarts. You get another shot there of Supaidaman in a cool pose. And you have some more promotional shots here on the bottom. Awesome. So now that we've got a nice look at the packaging, let's take a look at the figure itself. And now we've got the emissary of hell free from his cardboard confinement. And he's looking just great. Bandai, you could really tell Bandai put a lot of effort into this figure. I don't own any of their previous Spider-Man, any of their MCU Spideys, or the PS4 Spider-Man, but from what I understand, there was always something here or there being that was left to be desired, something either in the articulation or the aesthetic or something there that was just always just maybe missing the bar a little bit from being excellent. And no, that's not saying those figures were bad. They're probably definitely good figures, but this guy just feels superb. He feels like, honestly, if I were to see a comic book style Spider-Man from Bandai, I would want him to be very similar to how they have this guy set up. And we'll get into more of that with like the articulation and whatnot as the video goes on, but this is just a great figure. So, real quick, let's go over the aesthetics, and we'll go from there. So starting off with Spidey's head here, he does look great. You can see the red is a great red there. You can see the sculpted in web lines all over there. You can also see the sculpted in wrinkles, and that's going to be consistent all throughout the suit, similar to how he looked in the actual TV show. The head that comes on the figure out of the packaging is the head that's on there now, and as you can see, the eyes are misaligned, which is screen accurate. The original costume was not aligned properly, unfortunately. And the head is just looking fantastic there. Moving on down to the neck is a separate piece. That too has a bunch of molded in wrinkles, so that's great. It looks fantastic. Moving on down to the torso there. The big black spider is accurate there. And that consistency with the molded in suit wrinkles is, like I said, consistent throughout the entire figure. One thing I do kind of wish Bandai did was I kind of wish they gave the red a little bit more of a wash to kind of highlight the web lines a little bit more. I know a lot of figures do that, some don't, but that's how I personally prefer it. I'd prefer that if they do the concave web lines like they do here. Rotating it around to the back, you can see the blue and the red big spider here on the back, looking great. The paint is just spot on with this. The color accuracy is fantastic. We got a nice spider butt there. Rotate on over to his arms. Those are looking great too. On his left arm here, he does have his little wrist gadget, which I unfortunately don't know the name to. I didn't watch the show. But that is a free floating piece. It doesn't come off. If you take off the hand, unfortunately it just rotates. But it does also hinge up to reveal a little control screen and controls there for his robot, which is pretty cool. The hinge is a little tight, so be careful. Moving on down to the spider crotch, that's looking fine. More molded in details there. I almost wish they did a wash to the blue, but I really don't feel it's super necessary to make the details pop. They kind of pop well enough. And then we go on down to the torso, or to the feet here and the ankles, and those are looking good. We have, he is wearing kind of a shoe slipper-like thing there, which is also screen accurate. He does come with interchangeable shoes that I think are more screen accurate than these. I'm not 100% sure, but I'll show you those here in a little bit. But that's the aesthetic on Spider-Man. He looks really good in my opinion. Okay, so let's take a look at articulation. His head assembly is on a ball joint, so I'll pop that off here and show you what that looks like. As you can see here, the head itself doesn't sit on a ball joint. This whole assembly is kind of where the heads plug into. It is a unique shape, so you can only put them on one way. However, that appears to be on a ball joint in and of itself, which goes down into the neck piece and is its own separate piece, which is its own separate piece there. It appears to be like a dumbbell joint, so you do get all the articulation range you would normally get. Pop the head back on. It does rotate 360 degrees around. He can look up about that far. He can bury the chin quite well. And we've got some good tilt if you incorporate use of the separate neck piece. Moving on down to the shoulders. His shoulders are on a ball peg and butterfly, or a ball joint and butterfly system. Now the right shoulder on mine was incredibly tight out of the box. Super tight, so tight that I was afraid rotating it would break it. It was ratcheting, all that kind of stuff. So I did have to treat it with silicone shock oil. Now, if you guys have ever seen silicone shock oil used, it's just a shock oil that's used in RC cars that is safe for the plastic, safe for the paint, and it does a great job of freeing up tight joints. I can post a link to that in the description below. So I did have to do that. The butterfly itself was tight too, but applying the shock oil fixed that right up. And so it does rotate all the way around, moves in and out thanks to the butterfly joint, it can move up and down. It does have a bicep swivel, which is unique to this Spider-Man. I don't think any of the previous S.H. Figuarts Spider-Man do have bicep swivels, so that's a nice addition. He's got double elbows that go way past 90, very high up there, very good. And his wrists are on the typical ball and hinge system that can go in and out, or you can rotate them around for up and down. And then the hands sit on just a mushroom peg like all S.H. Figuarts, and they can pop on and off. A couple of the sets of hands were a little tight to pop on there, but after popping them on and off a few times, they were fine. Moving on to the torso, he is on a ball joint there, so he does get a good amount of wiggle there at the abdomen. He can rotate a little bit. He can arc back that much. He can he can crunch forward quite a bit actually, and he's got some good tilt. And then that abdominal piece here is also on a ball joint, and it also moves. It does not rotate though. Alright, moving on down to the hips. The hips are kind of weird. They look alright, and they function just fine. So he does have a thigh swivel here. His hips, he can spread quite nicely there. And he can kick up about that high. Quite nice there. And then he can can't really kick back that far. He can only kick back about that far. And so he also, I mentioned the thigh swivel already. He's got a double jointed knee. Goes back very nicely, and then his ankles are on a similar system to the wrists. It's on a joint and a ball joint and hinge, and they can bend down that much, kick up that much. Good rocker, some rotate, and a toe joint. Ooh. The toe joints on mine are a little bit tight, but not too bad. And so that's the articulation. Okay, so let's take a look at Supaidaman's accessories. First up, we'll take a look at the alternate heads he comes with. The first head here is just the regular head, but with the eyes aligned correctly. So those are just aligned right if you don't want to have the screen accurate misalignment on there. Even though I do think the misaligned eyes look great and screen accurate. And then the third head is going to be very similar, but the black outlines on the eyes are a little bit thicker. And I want to say that this is how he looked in one or two of his comic book appearances in that he appeared in, I think, for the Spider-Verse crossover event, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% sure where those come from, but that's what I believe. So, moving on over to his hands, he comes with a total of 8 sets of hands. He's got 2 fists that come on him out of the box. He's got 2 gripping hands for his webbing, so he can grip onto his webs. He's got 2 web shooting hands, which, as you can see, are a little bit different than what they look like in the American version. Next up, we have some flat palms. These are used to recreate various poses. There we go. Then we've got some wall crawling hands to simulate him crawling up on the wall. Those look very nice. And then we have some splayed out hands. Finally, we have a pointer. Just one, though. And then also, he comes with an alternative pair of shoes. These, as you can see, come with their own ankle joints, so you just swap them out at the ankles. They have all the same functionality and articulation as the regular shoes, except they have a different kind of design, and I'm not 100% sure where that comes from, but yeah, they're more obviously a slipper as opposed to the ones that he comes on out of the box. Alright, so he also comes with a bunch of different webs. He comes with this right-angled web with a loop at the end, and it has 2 fists that plug into his wrist joints. So that's pretty cool. He's got this big web net effect, and this is going to be great, and this looks like it can plug into the ends of the various webs he's got. He's got this one curved web for swinging, or to simulate swinging. And it is a nice flexible plastic, so it can kind of flex a little bit. It doesn't really stay bent to where you bend it, but it does what it does. And then we've got 2 different webs that plug into his wrists. So you'll pop his hand off, slide this small loop underneath or over the wrist peg, and then pop the hand on, and then he'll have a long web, and then this can actually plug in to here. Like so. And then he also has a small, come on, there we go, small web that does the same thing. It plugs into his wrists, and then it can also plug into the netting. So yeah. Okay, next up it's size comparison time. So Here we've got a bunch of different Spider-Men from various lines. Unfortunately, I don't have any of the other S.H. Figuarts Spider-Men, like I mentioned earlier, so I don't have any of those to compare to. But let's take a look at what I do have. So first up here on the far left, we have the Mafex comic book Spider-Man, and they scale pretty well. I'd say they're about the same size. Mafex may be a little bit taller. And then we move over to the right of Supaidaman. We've got the Marvel Legends Pizza Spider-Man, and he's just a bit taller there, and that's a bit to be expected. Marvel Legends are a little bit bigger than most other import figures. And then on the far right there, we have the Marvel Legends Gamerverse Spider-Man as he appeared in the PS4 Spider-Man game. I wish I did have the new Retro Spidey mold for you guys to show you in comparison. However, I have been unable to find him out in the wild, and I'm still waiting on my pre-order from Pulse to ship. So hopefully soon Hasbro will decide to send that out. But yeah, so that's a couple Spider-Men for you. And here we have a couple MCU Marvel Legends to go along with the live-action Spider-Man theme. We've got Homecoming Spider-Man on the far left, Toei Spider-Man, MCU Iron Spider, and Far From Home Spidey. And then last up, we have a handful of other lines here. On the far left, we have your DC Icons Nightwing, your Star Wars Black Series Stormtrooper, and then to the right of Spider-Man, you have your Black Series Deadpool, who's on your standard Bucky Cap mold, and your S.H. Figuarts Dragon Ball Z Goku. Alright, and so here are my final thoughts on the S.H. Figuarts Toei Spider-Man. So overall, I think the aesthetic is really nice. I think they did a really good job with the sculpt of the figure. I personally think the proportions are very nicely done. The detailing on the actual costume with the wrinkles and whatnot is great. The paint is pretty good. I do have a few paint splotches here or there. It is what it is, I guess. So, those are there. I do wish there was a little bit more of a wash in the red to kind of bring out the web lines, but once again, is what it is. Other than that, though, the paint is pretty good. I can't complain. I'm very happy with the articulation scheme. I feel like this is probably the ideal scheme that Bandai probably wants to stick to if they want to continue making Spider-Man figures. I think they nailed it with how they set up the articulation here. I think it's great. Much better than, I guess, some of their previous offerings. However, the quality control on some of the joints on my figure left a little bit to be desired. So I mentioned the shoulder situation in the articulation segment where the shoulder locked up and was super tight, and I believe what was causing that was just excess friction in the ball joint and socket in the shoulder. And so, like I said, applying some silicone shock oil to the shoulder there cleaned it right up. It functions properly. There's no issues. It's fine. However, about halfway shooting this review, the other shoulder locked up and did the same exact thing. So I had to go back and apply another treatment of shock oil to that shoulder, and that cleared it right up. And it seems to be, and now it seems to be good. It seems to just been a friction issue and maybe kind of messing around with the articulation. So let me know down in the comments if anybody else is experiencing similar issues or experienced similar issues, because I'm very curious to know. And another thing I noticed, and I noticed this while I was unboxing the figure itself, and I don't know how easily you guys are going to be able to see it here, but if you twist the thigh swivel here, there you go, you can see there's some oil there. And now mine are a little bit tight, not super tight where I'm concerned about it, but yeah, so it looks like Bandai pre-oiled the figure prior to them even shipping it out. So that's interesting. Not quite sure why they did that. Never experienced that on any of my other Bandai figures that I've received, and I have quite a few from like their Dragon Ball line. So very interesting to see something like that. And I only realized what it was after I did the second oil treatment, because I was curious. I didn't know what that was when I took it out of the box. So interesting, to say the least. But so also let me know about that too. I want to know if anybody else is like that. So yeah. So other than those couple QC issues, the figure looks really good. It works about as well as I'd expect, other than, like I said, those quality control problems. And I don't know if that's just an isolated incident with me or what, so yeah. Otherwise, though, it's a pretty good figure. It's going to be a great addition to my Spider-Man shelf. I have a nice Spider-Verse shelf going on, and he's great. And honestly, I don't know if any other company is going to get to this particular version of Spider-Man, because of licensing and all that other kind of stuff. I'm really unsure if we'll see another Supaidaman, let alone one of at least this quality. Because I can maybe imagine a Hasbro doing a Marvel Legends of it down the line. Who knows? But anyway, great figure. I really enjoy it, other than those quality control problems, so yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Once again, thanks again to all the viewers and subscribers who are getting us up there. Really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. And like, comment, subscribe. Do your thing. Have a good one.